Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra with me, Shail Bhatnagar, and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the closing action on the day's trade. It's almost a 40-point uptick on the Nifty. We are holding up steady above that 24,800 odd mark. It's the Nifty Bank that is holding stronger, about 0.5% high in trade. That's about a 290 odd point of an uptick at 50,969 odd levels. Among the sectors, barring the auto, pharma, oil and gas, IT space also now. Rest of the sectors are still holding up. What's doing well is the consumer durable space, the PSU banks, private banks coming up in trade, and the broader markets also participating along with FMCG names. Some of the top movers right now are Grasim Industries, that's up 2.5%. You have Tata Consumer Products from the FMCG pack, that's up 2.6%. Bharti Airtel, Tata Steel, Asian Paints, ICICI Bank are among the top movers on the Nifty. While top drags on the Nifty include names like the auto majors, Tata Motors, M&M. You also have NTPC, Wipro, Dr. Reddy's and ONGC now seeing some profit booking take place as well. Even the PSE index has now dropped about 0.5% lower in trade, even though the India VIX is down by 2.3%. Good afternoon to all our viewers and good afternoon, Shail.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 24,800 is with the bulls on the weekly expiry day, and what is really interesting is that now the Nifty is less than 1 percentage point away from an all-time high. Today is the 5th day of a very strong rally that started on August 14, when the index hit a low of about 24,099. From that point onwards, we are at 24,800 at least. This is what is the price now for the index. Early morning it had gone up to 24,870, where it encountered a lot of call selling and of call unwinding and of course put writing. So that was the level where a lot of profit booking came in, but a very good Nifty for the moment. The bank Nifty, as Sakshi has already pointed out, is 0.5 percentage point higher, 50,950. What's really interesting is that again from the low of about 49,650 on August 14th, we are now 1,300 points higher, and this has happened all very quietly without the noise and minimum fuss. As far as today's markets are concerned, ladies and gentlemen, because it's the weekly expiry, the market breadth is positive, but what is missing is volume action. You will be surprised to know that the today's top trading counter, as far as the National Stock Exchange is concerned, has just a very modest volume of 1,670 crore rupees, and it's a cash stock, Kalyan Jewellers. It's never happened in my most recent memory that you have Kalyan Jewellers as the top traded counter on the National Stock Exchange with that lower volume, followed by Zomato, followed by Mazgaon Dock. HDFC Bank is the first Nifty stock that comes in with a very modest volume of 1,130. So you have a green tick on the market, but what I'm just trying to point out is that trader and investor participation is minimal today. In terms of advanced decline ratios, you have a very strong move, 1470 shares in the green compared with 840 on the Dial Street. As far as the top gainers are concerned, they are from the Nifty Midcap Select Index, the PSU Banking Index and the FMCG Index are in the green. The Nifty 500 is also in the green. Out of 500, 307 stocks are sort of quoting with gains. In terms of record highs, ladies and gentlemen, let's just pay attention to some very interesting names that have come up. Natco Pharma, 5% higher, 1547. Sham Metallics, 6.5% higher, buzzing very strongly on that UBS report that has given a price upgrade of 1,100 rupees, and of course you have the usual suspects in the form of TVS Motors. Gillette India has come up 1.5% higher, 83.86, and Sakshi, the most important development has been on Bajaj Auto. The stock has pierced 10,000 rupees and is definitely headed for a record high today as far as prices are concerned. What is also very interesting is that there are very few losers on the NSE, which are showing strength in terms of volume. So it's a very nice normal day for the markets, low investor participation, and the 5th day of a very strong move. Sakshi.
Right. Let's also welcome our guest on board. Now, Avinash Gorakshakar, the head of research at Profit Mart Securities, is with us. Warm welcome to you, Avinash, and thank you so much for taking the time out. Tell us, how are you assessing the current market setup? Definitely, we are on a better footing than last week. We have slowly and gradually inched higher, 24,800 now with us. Do you think one should put the fears of a bigger crash coming in, that was still the narrative about 10 days, 15 days ago, on the back burner?
Yeah, I think good afternoon, Sakshi. I think see markets have obviously risen largely because globally, I think now the certainty of a rate cut in September looks very much possible. I think globally inflation has come down, and I think that's the reason yesterday we saw a good rally in the US markets. Indian markets also have opened pretty well in the early morning trade. And I think now the macro tailwinds seem to be quite positive. And once US announces rate cuts, which I think could get extended to at least say 2 to 3 rate cuts in the coming 12 months. We could also find that in India, the rate cycle cut could happen. And that definitely is a big positive, specifically for interest sensitive sectors. Overall, I think the earnings, season has been more or less on expected lines. And I think it's going to be a stock specific market. I think on the index, we are not very positive. We feel that, it could be a broad kind of based rally, but otherwise, I think stock specific wise, I think there are many opportunities in the market which investors should obviously look at, because I believe that the small and the mid caps kind of stocks would give a better alpha as compared to the large cap company. So I think it's going to be a stock specific approach, Sakshi. But overall market is definitely getting rewarded by higher liquidity from retail SIPs, from insurance companies, from FIs, and that definitely is going to keep the market momentum positive.
नमस्ते अविनाश जी, अ वेरी वार्म वेलकम टू यू। बड़े दिनों में आपके दर्शन हुए, क्या हालचाल? बताइए किस हिसाब से आप बाज़ार को देख रहे हैं फ़िलहाल? एनीथिंग दैट कैचेस योर फैंसी इन द मिड कैप एंड द स्मॉल कैप स्पेस पोस्ट फर्स्ट क्वार्टर अर्निंग्स?
No, I think शैलेंद्र, आई थिंक मुझे लगता है कि बाजार में छोटी कंपनीज में मौके अभी भी अच्छे हैं, और स्पेसिफिकली अगर हम कैपिटल गुड्स की बात करें तो एक्शन कंस्ट्रक्शन इक्विपमेंट एक बहुत अच्छा नाम है। हमने इस स्टॉक को बहुत पहले भी रेकमेंड किया था। इस बार भी हमको लगता है कि जिस प्रकार की ऑर्डर बुक है, जिस प्रकार की ट्रैक्शन और मैनेजमेंट कमेंट्री है, ये कंपनी में हमको लगता है कि आने वाले साल में कम से कम 15-20% की टॉप लाइन ग्रोथ और अर्निंग्स ग्रोथ करीबन 20-25% होगी। तो डेफिनेटली आई थिंक दिस लुक्स एन इंटरेस्टिंग बेट, एंड आई थिंक विद इन द सीमेंट कंपनीज there's a lot of activity happening. I think companies like Heidelberg Cement, Ramco Cement, these are medium sized companies where we believe that a lot of pricing power has come in, and this definitely is going to help these companies grow much better. The other space, Shailendra, I think is all these agrochemical companies. We have been seeing very interesting data points coming out after a very disastrous last year. I think most of the agrochemical companies have reported very decent numbers. So, companies like Dharmaraj Corporation, Rallies India, or typically a Sharda Cropchem or a Sumitomo, these are companies which I think, investors should look at, because this year monsoons have been on expected lines. And I think normally for these companies, the first half is always better than the second half. So, agrochemicals can also be an interesting bet. Or definitely, I think, it's a pick and choose market, provided, the investor has got a 6 to 12 month kind of time frame. But earnings definitely are going to be pretty robust in all these sectors. So I think, one can keep a watch on these sectors and obviously nibble into these stocks on every dip in the market.
Okay, so those are the pockets that Avinash believes that you should be really keeping your eye out on. Avinash ji, another thing is that how are you looking at the development between Zomato and Paytm, and how Zomato is now looking to take over that ticketing business? The deal seems to be done in a few months' time now. But your sense of who will benefit more, and how should investors be viewing these two stocks?
I think clearly, I think ATM's problems are a kind of an opportunity for Zomato, and I think that's exactly why this deal has happened. Paytm requires the cash, so the ticketing business has been decided to be sold off to Zomato. See, I think in the very near term, the numbers won't be very big, but I would say that over the medium to long term, the ticketing business is something which is an interesting kind of business where Zomato can scale up the operations in a significant manner. Although they have paid almost 7 to 8 times the revenue for this kind of valuation, our sense is that this kind of platform is definitely scalable, and maybe in the next 1 or 2 years you could see the benefits flowing in. So I think Zomato can definitely be considered, but again on dips, I think the stock has risen significantly. Now at these levels in the short term, maybe the stock may not give you that kind of alpha, but if you're looking at the next 1 to 2 years, hopefully Zomato can give you good returns, because again, it's a very concentrated market. Apart from Swiggy, Zomato does not have any other large competitor in the food app space. As far as Paytm is concerned, I think their troubles are far from over. In fact, the recent report suggests that they are taking a cost-cutting exercise for senior executives. So some more pain can possibly come in from Paytm. And I think Paytm, despite the fact that it gets about 2,000 odd crores from the ticketing deal, most importantly, the market would like to know is on the regulatory side, whether the overhang will continue for a little long time, and whether business will continue and flourish as normal, which yet does not continue to do so. So I think Paytm, maybe the earning story or maybe the cash flow story is still a long way away. At least the next couple of years, we don't think Paytm is in a position to generate any positive cash flow. So I think Paytm can underperform. I wouldn't suggest to buy Paytm even at the current odd levels, but yes, Zomato on any decline can definitely be added, because I think here it is an interesting space which with very little competition, and where the B2C consumption kind of area is growing rapidly, which obviously will benefit the company.
Right. I think this is as right time as any to take a view on what's happening in the auto space. Two stocks stand out, and they are, of course, Bajaj Auto, as I had mentioned earlier, and there is a very, very strong move coming into TVS Motors as well. TVS has relaunched its Jupiter two-wheeler, top performer today in the F&O space, 2.6% at 2705. A strong volume show coupled with a 5.5% rise in open interest, as also Bajaj Auto. The counter is now almost in 5 digits, a 2.3% uptick in open interest and distinct volume uptick. Avinash, media is abuzz with the large scale inventory of cars and two-wheelers not moving out of showrooms, buyers preferring to sort of remain in the waiting mode. What do you think is pushing two-wheeler stocks higher?
I think, Shailendra, two-wheeler stocks, my sense is, should do better than the four-wheeler passenger car stocks, for the simple reason that, this was the last segment where one could get a kind of demand revival in terms of volume growth numbers. And, two-wheeler markets are largely governed by the rural markets. This year, hopefully, the monsoon is good. Last couple of years, the rural markets were down. Purchasing power from the rural markets was affected very badly. But I think hopefully with this year's monsoon, we have seen very strong numbers, from companies like Hero Motor, which has got a very large rural base. In fact, other players like TVS, Bajaj Auto, they do also have a large rural base, but Hero Motor is a large dominant player. So I think that gives you a very clear indication that rural India demand is picking up. And I think clearly two-wheelers, should grow in double digits. But as far as the passenger car market is concerned, I think there's been a lull in markets. We've been talking to some dealers. They've been telling us that, at least in the last 1 or 2 months, the car sales have not picked up as per expectation. So I think, the early days of supply shortages and price increases have gone. Even manufacturers have realized that now they need to price their products very competitively. So what can happen in the passenger car market, Shailendra, is you could see a little more price cuts coming in across categories, from passenger cars, utility vehicles, luxury cars. And that definitely is not a good sign, because obviously commodity prices have started moving up. And if prices come down, then I think the manufacturers have no choice but to cut prices and increase the volume. So I think we'll have to wait for at least maybe 1 or 2 quarters. But next 1 or 2 quarters will be challenging for passenger cars. Two-wheelers, I don't think there is going to be any problem. We believe that most manufacturers are, innovating their products, like TVS Motors, or for that reason Bajaj Auto. Everybody is now focusing on the electric vehicle segment, which I think is a very large growth area. After the listing of Ola Electric, I think markets are very positive on the electric vehicle segment.
Actually, Avinash, you preempted my next question, and perhaps Sakshi's too. We had the wonderful pleasure of hosting Mr. Bhavish Agarwal from Ola Electric just 2 evenings ago, and he was very gung-ho bullish about the prospects of electric vehicles in general, and obviously his company in particular. Your call on valuations as far as Ola Electric is concerned is all done and dusted, or should investors be more hopeful beyond 130, 125 that the stock is at today?
No, I think investors should be smart enough, Shailendra, to book out some money, because finally you cannot be emotional in the stock market. However good a company is, or however good the company's management talks about their business model, their growth prospects, finally, the stock has risen by almost 60 odd percent, and that too for a company which is not making money, it is yet in losses. So my sense is, yes, the long-term story will be there. I mean, there are people who can invest for next 2, 3 years, but I think if you make 50, 60% upside, I think it makes sense to at least take out your capital, book some money out, because clearly, I think unless the market does not see operating profitability coming in, profitability at the net level not coming in, future re-rating for the stock is going to be difficult. See, we can sell the narrative up to a particular level, but beyond that, I think data has to be positive, data has to be strong, and the market rewards and respects fundamentals. So as of now, I would say that there's no point in buying the Ola stock as of now. Probably, some profit booking is advisable, but fresh buying can only be done if the price corrects, to a reasonably good extent. But fresh buying not advisable.
Fresh buying not advisable on Ola Electric, and suggestion of booking profits in case you're sitting on 50-60% kind of profits on Ola Electric as of now as well. Avinash ji, when we talk about valuations, there are two other pockets also that draw our attention, and that is the defense and the railway space, especially because there's been a one-way up move on these, and there are several investors who are now feeling stuck in these stocks because they bought it at the extreme high point in any of the stocks that we talk about. Most of the stocks have dropped about 20-30% from their highs right now. What is the ideal advice that you're giving to investors on both the defense and the railway space?
Yeah, I think, Sakshi, as far as the defense space is concerned, I think it is very clear that, stocks like Mazgaon Dock, Garden Reach, Cochin Shipyard, these were the companies which actually skyrocketed significantly in the last 2 years. And I think now valuations have become extremely pricey and expensive. So I think, unless we have another war happening, normally what happens is the market gets excited when there is a new, kind of geopolitical problem arising in some part of the world. And that actually encourages, defense companies to actually get more and more customers. So I think, unless we have a new geopolitical situation, in the very near term, these stock prices are going to remain flat. They are going to get consolidated. But yes, the long-term story for the Indian defense market is a very huge market. If somebody has a 2-year plus view, then I think one can reasonably expect growth to continue. But yes, in the very short term, I think you could expect a lot of underperformance, because there are no major earnings triggers, at least in the very near term. And as far as railways is concerned, it is the same story. Valuations have become expensive. The long-term story continues to be good. The government is focusing more and more on capex, incremental kind of investments, on the railway sector. But all that has got factored, at least as far as FY25 earnings are concerned. So I think, somebody who's holding on stocks from a very early level should book out some money, should reinvest that money in some other sector which is promising, like FMCG, or for that reason capital goods or cement, where the story has just started, and where I think earnings story would be much better. And long term story is good, but again, in the short term, like defense, railway stocks are going to stagnate for some more time.
That you made towards the end as well, that maybe the story is starting elsewhere within the FMCG space. Are you convinced at any particular stock or group of stocks that one can start to build up their positions in now?
Yeah, I think within the FMCG space, companies like Godrej Consumer, Godrej Agrovet, that reason Dabur, or for that reason even a company like Britannia. I think these are companies which are having a very well laid down distribution structure, a very strong customer base, a very strong product bouquet. So I think these companies could definitely, one could look at better numbers. If the rural market performs, and probably you'll see the second half, for this financial year picking up quite admirably, because monsoons this year have been reasonably much better than last year. And hopefully, the government is also looking at encouraging, rural consumption. So I think these companies, I would suggest that if one were to nimble into a small quantity, I think you could expect better third and fourth quarter numbers. Although I think the propensity of the price increase for most of these companies would be, say, 18-20%. because these companies are not trading at discount. They are trading at fair to medium kind of valuation. So, typically in these companies, 18-20% move in a year's time is not considered to be bad.
Avinash, one of the quietest yet the best performers has been the Pharma index. I'm just looking at some excellent data in front of me. 34% uptick on the Pharma index year to date, and this index has about 20 companies in it. Very strong moves coming into stocks such as Glenmark and Natco Pharma, almost doubling, 100% uptick. Lupin, Granules, Torrent Pharma, Biocon, all up between 42 to 75%. If you look at even the month to date performance, which is 31st July to August 22, a very strong 3.5% uptick in Pharma. Any favorites here?
Yeah, I think within the pharma space, Shailendra, you're right that this sector has done extremely well. And the move has been pretty quiet, but I think very reassuring. I think within this space, we like Glenmark and we also like Biocon. See, Biocon recent report suggests that globally, countries like Malaysia, I was just reading a report saying that there has been a severe shortage of insulin. And clearly, Biocon is one of the large producers of insulin. Clearly, I think in terms of their product potential, in terms of their new product discoveries, I think the current year, that is financial year FY25 and 26, is going to be very important. The biologics business is also shaping up well. I think very soon we may see some big announcements coming from the biologic business side, which would give a further value unlocking potential. Glenmark has also done remarkably well, not only in the US market where it prominently sells its product, but even other regulated markets. And plus, they sold the Glenmark Life Sciences business for a reasonably good premium. It was a subsidiary of Glenmark. I remember when it went public, it controlled 75%. So that also has helped them generate a lot of cash in this kind of market. So, markets have actually given it a good reward by re-rating the stock, considering that both the operational business is doing well and plus the business which they sold out to Nirma, I think is clearly doing pretty well. I think Glenmark Life Sciences was sold at a valuation of close to 1,000 crores. So, I would say that these points are going to benefit the company in terms of a better balance sheet, better cash flow, and obviously earnings growth should be much better than last year. So, Glenmark and typically something like a Biocon, which most investors were not very positive, these would be good bets even at the current odd levels.
Okay, got it. Now, Avinash, you began, in fact, Shell began by talking about Kalyan Jewelers this morning. Consumer durables is another space that I wanted to draw your attention to, particularly with those gems and jewelry based stocks. Kalyan, Titan, stocks like Lipsa Gems, it's up almost 20% in trade today. Sky Gold was also trading higher a few days ago as well. How are you looking at the entire gems and the jewelry space right now?
I think, Sakshi, this is a very interesting space because, the budget made a very promising big announcement that custom duty on gold was reduced. And I think that actually made a lot of gold companies actually spelling out that, demand is going to increase significantly in India. India market for gold is a growing market, specifically for the branded jewelry market. And we have seen managements from, let's say, Senco Gold or typically Kalyan Jewelers or smaller, even players have been doing pretty well. In fact, most of the organized sector players are growing at the cost of unorganized sector. And clearly, demand from South India, demand from North India, I think these are pockets where the opportunity to grow in the current year looks quite promising. So I would not be surprised that any decline should be used as an opportunity to accumulate these stocks. Of course, Kalyan Jewelers made an interesting announcement today. Promoters decided to buy into company and increase their stake, which itself is a kind of a confidence booster. But my sense is that operationally Kalyan has been doing pretty well. They have now got a much better geographical reach, and I think if gold prices come down, probably during the second half, which is the month where a lot of festivals happen, you could see a lot of volume uptick happening. So net, I think it's going to be a good financial year compared to last year.
The second half is that people also travel a lot. There's a lot of holidays as well. So I wanted to also bring your attention to Indigo or Interglobe Aviation as well. With the move that we have seen in today's trade, it's been buzzing in the F&O space as one of the top movers too. Your own sense on Indigo? Brokerage houses are upping their targets to over 5,200 as well. How are you looking at Interglobe Aviation? It's right now up near the day's high, 4% higher.
I think Sakshi, see, Indigo is a company which is the largest player in the aviation space, enjoys a market share of around 50 odd percent. Plus, they have one of the largest fleet available and one of the most geographically well dispersed kind of players. So obviously, they benefit by the market share expansion. And aviation traffic, fortunately, in the last 1 or 2 quarters have done remarkably well. I think one key reason has been that crude prices have been soft. In fact, recent reports suggest that unless China now resumes buying crude oil in a big way, crude is going to remain more or less flat in 24-25. And that definitely is good news for companies like Indigo because almost 60% of the operational cost is basically on account of crude. So if crude prices either fall or remain flattish, that could improve the yields for companies like Indigo. Of course, the stock valuation is not cheap, but looking at its positioning in the market, the kind of market share it commands, and the kind of market share expansion which it can make, I would not be surprised that this stock would obviously do well based on the numbers which are expected over the next, say, 12, 18 months.
All right. I think, Sakshi, there is a very good research report that has come hiking Indigo's price target to beyond 5,000 rupees. Remember, it's a pure monopoly play. Actually, let's just say a duopoly play where the second player is so small that it really doesn't matter. So this is Indigo for you, ladies and gentlemen. The stock has done phenomenally well, and this is such a huge cash flow generator. The last time I checked, I think it was throwing up an annual cash of 15,000 crore rupees. And Sakshi, not many people know that the food business of Indigo, which it does at 35,000 feet in the air, is bigger than the entire annual sale of Jubilant Foods, that's Domino's Pizza. So that is the kind of scale that we are looking at. And of course, this is something that is operationally done fantastically well. All of us have traveled in Indigo. I wish the service were a little better in terms of treating passengers, but shareholders have been extremely thrilled with the phenomenal returns that have come in. Not many people also know, Sakshi, that in India over the next 5 years you will see one plane coming every fortnight, one new plane coming into the country every fortnight, minimal. It could be two as well, but that's the order flows that Indigo, Tata Vistara, and of course Indian Airlines are seeing. So it's good time for aviation, and of course neither is Air India listed, neither is Vistara listed. So all the fun goes to Indigo as far as this aviation market is concerned. What's really interesting, Avinash, is your thoughts on PSU banks. What do you think of this move that we are seeing, or this crisis that is being discussed in the market, slowing growth of fixed deposits versus surging growth of mutual funds?
I think, Shailendra, see, the fight for deposits continues, and I think unless the banks have got a large distribution network, the smaller banks are going to be, more challenged. I think the larger banks, especially the PSU banks like SBI, or for that reason Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank, these banks have got a very well laid out distribution structure. So, for them the CASA ratio is already quite high. So I don't think that these banks are going to face any significant pressure in terms of deposits. But yes, the cost of deposits is going to go up. So yields are going to come under pressure. And what we saw in the last 2 years, Shailendra, was a lot of asset cleanup happened. So these balance sheets got asset light, they got more cleaned up. These kind of triggers are not available now. Although the government has announced in the budget a large 11 lakh crore budget for capital expenditure, my sense is that probably from the second half of the financial year you'll see a lot of action happening for the banks. Banks are steady performers. I would not be surprised that you could see steady growth in earnings for even the private sector banks like say ICICI Bank, Axis, IndusInd Bank, because balance sheets are pretty strong. The appetite from the corporates is also growing. Government is also spending a lot of money on infrastructure. So I think investors need to give in some more time, because this is not a sector where you could possibly see a quick risk reward happening. But technically, I think the banks are in a much stronger kind of position, and I think one should definitely put in say 6 to 12 months time frame here.
Hmm. Avinash ji, there's one another interesting stock that's been coming up on the radar of brokerage houses, and that's Trent. I'm sure you would have been closely tracking this story too. Now there are reports that are indicating that the company is now going to scale up its hypermarket business also and see it as the third vertical of growth after Zudio and Bestside have proven success in the last couple of years as well. How are you looking at this retail major? Do you think even now there is an opportunity for a fresh investor looking at the long term to build up portfolio within Trent?
Yeah, I think, see, my guess is that Zudio has been remarkably successful because of its product quality and competitive pricing. In fact, that's the key reason why the markets have taken a liking for Trent. And I think numbers for quarter one, which came out, have been very impressive. In fact, they have outperformed all the other retailers. And despite the fact that Trent is a small player, I think their focus on profitability has really worked out very well. So, I think clearly if one has the next 2 years in mind, 2 to 3 years in mind, mind you, the valuations are not cheap. They are expensive. But I think if you look at the next 2 to 3 years, retail in India is still a developing kind of market. A lot of potential on the ground exists. And, as far as India is concerned, there's a huge kind of scale up opportunity available. And I think looking at the broad consumption kind of category space, I would not be surprised that if you have a next 2 to 3 year kind of time frame, it could be a good portfolio stock to add. But yes, I think keeping a long-term time frame is very important, because in the short term, I would not be surprised that you may not get a very significant re-rating, because valuations have become a little pricey. So you'll have to wait for FY26 and 27 numbers to actually turn out, and that essentially would drive the stock later on going forward.
Hmm. Got it. Okay, let's thank you, Avinash, for being with us on this very special edition and sharing all these wonderful insights. It's always a pleasure to host you on Business Today, and hope you have a fantastic time till the time we meet again on Market Today and on Business Today. Thank you so much. With that, viewers, we'll also welcome Mr. Raghvendra Singh, our other market expert, who's now going to be joining in. Raghvendra, warm welcome. Good afternoon to you as well. How are you assessing the market moves right now? Does it give you enough confidence that if not by tomorrow, at least by next week, we'll be able to retest that 25,000 mark and probably even inch higher to newer records?
Sakshi, very good afternoon. Shal, very good afternoon. Thank you so much for following on this show. Sakshi, as far as market is concerned, we were discussing about market to hit a new high when market was around 24,000. And continuously from that level, market is inching up. And I believe this momentum can continue in the next week. And I'm very sure that Nifty can hit a new high in the next month, next week, starting on Monday, Tuesday. So I believe 25,200, 25,300 in this expiry. The reason is that, we have seen almost 1.5 crores, 2 crores, almost the option writers are trapped at the lower level on the call side. And I believe that short covering can hit the market at the much higher level, in the monthly expiry. तो मुझे लगता है कि 25,200, 25,300 जो है ये बहुत जल्दी मुझे लग रहा है आ जाना चाहिए. So I'm pretty sure this level should come in the next week.
Namaste Raghvendra ji, स्वागत है आपका. One or two stocks that you see exhibiting strength as far as the Nifty is concerned, and where do you think lies more strength in F&O as far as mid-cap stock futures are concerned?
Shall I think Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Auto, these two stocks are looking very good on the chart, and I believe Bajaj Finance can touch 7,000 around. 7,000 के बाद मुझे लगता है एक बार ऑप्शन मुझे चेन देखेंगे वहां पे, देन उसके बाद देखते हैं स्टॉक कहां जाता है. बजाज ऑटो ऑलरेडी इसने जो है 5 डिजिट मार्क हिट कर लिया. So I believe 10,200, 10,300 level is on the card. Bajaj Auto and Bajaj Finance are the more, I'm expecting more short covering in these two stocks. As far as mid cap and small cap, derivative segment is concerned, I think Motherson Sumi Hind Copper and IEX. And OMCs. OMCs are looking very good because, crude oil is trading below 80 and 78, 79. As far as crude oil is concerned, we are expecting much lower level in the near term, $75, 74,000, $74. That can hit, a big profit for the OMC. So I believe ये जो oil marketing companiयां हैं, ये काफी अच्छा कर सकती हैं in near term. And ये जो दो स्टॉक हैं, बजाज फाइनेंस एंड बजाज ऑटो.
Okay. Raghvendra ji, let's ask you as well. We've been asking all our guests today on Zomato versus Paytm. Where do you think the maximum profits will lie and the benefit will come in post the deal that's come in? How would you advise a retail investor who's been driving the Zomato story? We've seen the stock double almost this year. Will Zomato be a more preferred bet, or is Paytm now out of the woods?
Sakshi, see, Zomato have the different story, and now Paytm is coming to the picture. Paytm stock already 70% ऊपर से नीचे आ चुका है. So I am expecting more upside in the Paytm rather than the Zomato, because Zomato ने already 60-70 रुपीस से 250 रुपए का भाव पिछले 1-1.5 साल में टच कर दिया है. बट जो Paytm है, अभी भी उसने अपने IPO का भाव नहीं टच किया है, और अभी भी 52 वीक लो के आसपास ट्रेड हो रहा है, 500, 550, 400 के रेंज में. So I'm expecting Paytm to go much higher level from this level, say 600, 700 plus level. मुझे लगता है शायद नेक्स्ट वीक या 15-20 दिन में आना चाहिए. मुझे लग रहा है जो बाइंग हो रही है Paytm में वो काफी अच्छी हो रही है डिलीवरी साइड में.
Okay, so that as far as Zomato versus Paytm story is concerned. The other thing is within the PSU pack overall, how are you assessing the moves? Difficult to say. It's been consolidating for far too long. No clear trend visible amidst any of the pockets within the PSU pack. How are you building a fresh move right here within PSUs?
Sakshi, see, there are two kind of corrections going on in the market. One is time correction, one is price correction. Now we are seeing time-wise correction happening in the PSU stocks. So I believe after a certain period of time, within a week, maybe after 15 days, we can see a strong upside rally in all PSU stock, including energy, including banks, including OMCs. So overall picture is looking very good and very fantastic. So I believe 15-20 दिन और वेट कीजिए. मुझे लगता है बहुत जल्दी हमारे जितने भी PSU स्टॉक्स हैं फिर से रैली देना स्टार्ट करेंगे. थोड़ा सा करेक्शन है टाइम वाइज, मुझे लगता है ये करेक्शन भी होना इंपॉर्टेंट है. सो डेफिनेटली वी आर गोइंग टू सी अपसाइड रैली विद इन 10-15 डेज.
3:07 p.m. ladies and gentlemen. Amongst the first few stocks that we marked in the morning were Kalyan Jewellers, when the counter was up at about I think 540 or something. At the moment it is at 594 and headed dramatically higher. Volumes are phenomenal. Kalyan is the top traded counter on NSE today. 1870 shares, 1870 crores worth of money coming in. This is a block deal as well. Sakshi, the earlier when we saw this volume was somewhere in July of 2023, when the stock was at 157 rupees. What are you thinking in terms of Kalyan, Raghvendra ji? What are the charts telling you?
Shalji, Kalyan has given already a good breakout with the volume, and this block deal is giving a green picture for the stocks, and I think 650, 625, 650 level is on the card. So technically stock is looking to head towards 625, 650 levels, but I will request everyone to book some profit over there because the stock is already trading on the overbought zone. The RSI is trading above 75. So I think it is time to book your profit, keep some cash on the side and look for some other opportunities.
Okay. And what is also buzzing after a lot of hectic activity, ladies and gentlemen, is Hindustan Zinc. Remember, the last 1 week has been very trying for the counter. Its parent Vedanta sold 11,000 crores worth of shares in Hindustan Zinc. The counter is now bouncing pretty sharply from its 200-day moving average. What are the charts of Hindustan Zinc telling you?
Shell, the stock has corrected from 700, 750 level, and the stock has touched below 500, I think, in the last week. We were discussing this stock with Sakshi also, I think. The stock has taken a strong support at 470, 475 levels. Now it is turning into green, but I think it will take time to recover. The stock is again into the lower band, and I believe we should wait for some more time, and then we should enter in this stock. अभी थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे मुझे लगता है इंतजार करें, थोड़ा वेट करके लेना चाहिए. अभी इमीडिएट मुझे नहीं लग रहा है बहुत बड़ा अपसाइड स्टॉक में.
Okay, got it. That's as far as the counter is concerned. But overall, on the metal space, Raghvendra, what is your own sense right now? This is one space where you do believe, in the near to medium term, there could be a sharp rally as well. You've multiple times highlighted several stocks from this space as well to our viewers. What would you suggest now, and what's happening currently in the metal space?
Sakshi, metal stocks are taking some time, and they are थोड़ा यहाँ पे टाइम वाइज करेक्शन हो रहा है. So I believe निफ्टी मेटल्स एक अच्छा ब्रेकआउट देना चाहिए बहुत जल्द. 9300 के आसपास है निफ्टी मेटल, एंड आई बिलीव 9700, 9800 का लेवल बहुत जल्द आएगा. So I'm expecting overall breakout in all metal stocks, whether it is JSW Steel, Jindal Steel, SAIL, Tata Steel. All stocks are trading at lower band, and I think RSI is almost trading near 40 to 45, which I look very कि इसमें थोड़ा सा अच्छा दिखना चाहिए. बट मुझे लग रहा है 40-45 के RSI पे स्टॉक जो है ये अच्छे वैल्यूएशन पे. अब यहाँ से ट्रेड रिवर्सल का ही है. मुझे शॉर्ट बिल्कुल नहीं लग रहा है. मुझे लगता है नेक्स्ट मंथ जो है इट इज गोइंग टू बी फॉर द मेटल स्टॉक्स, निफ्टी मेटल.
Okay, got it. The other space that's coming back, Raghvendra, is the mid and the small cap space. They are slowly and gradually coming off the lowest point or the recent lows that we have seen. There are several pockets that are helping in this recovery as well. Within the mid and the small caps, have you identified any stocks recently?
साक्षी, भेल थोड़ा मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है इसमें से. मुझे लगता है कि थोड़ा सा और वेट करना चाहिए. मिड कैप स्मॉल कैप में स्टॉक्स ने एक्चुअली बहुत अच्छा बेस बनाया है. आप अगर मिड कैप स्मॉल कैप का चार्ट देखिए, बेस बन चुका है, रिवर्सल मोड पे है. अगेन वी आर ट्रेडिंग अराउंड 25,000 लेवल. आई थिंक अब यहाँ से जो लार्ज कैप स्टॉक्स हैं, अभी तक यहाँ 24,000 से 25,000 लाने में आईटी स्टॉक्स ने हेल्प किया था. नाउ आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग अगर 25,000 के ऊपर जाना है तो थोड़े से लार्ज कैप और ये मिड कैप स्मॉल कैप, चाहे वो आप जो हेवल्स ले लीजिए, आप चाहे पीईएल ले लीजिए, आप कोई भी एक स्टॉक उठा लीजिए. बीईएल देखो आप, डिफेंस स्टॉक अभी नीचे है, बट उसके हिसाब से भी बीईएल बिल्कुल 300 के आसपास ट्रेड हो रहा है, होल्ड कर रहा है. तो मुझे लगता है यहाँ से अगर 25,000 के ऊपर लेके जाना है तो ये जितने मिड कैप स्मॉल कैप स्टॉक्स एंड डेरिवेटिव में वो चलने चाहिए. और इनको यहाँ तक लेके आने में आईटी ने मदद की. अब यहाँ से जितने भी फ्रंटलाइन बैंकिंग स्टॉक्स हैं और एनबीएफसी, ये यहाँ से ऊपर जाने चाहिए लेकर.
Okay, two stocks that I have to mark are Balrampur Chini. I think we'll just see a very nice digit change over the next 2 or 3 sessions. Needless to say, this is a record high at 580, and would you believe it, till about 26th of July, exactly about a month earlier, the counter was at 456. This is of course a change that is happening in many sugar companies. The government's insistence, or at least the thought process of now mixing ethanol even with diesel, is providing impetus to a lot of sugar companies, and Balrampur now at 580. Sakshi, a digit change in Trent, 7,000, up 2.7% in trade today. And I so distinctly remember that you and I were anchoring, I think when the counter was at 1,700 rupees. Let me just get that number back to you. This was somewhere in July of 2023, and yes, okay, it was August of 2023 when the stock was at 1851, and the management in its AGM had said that the business of Trent could go could grow tenfold. From then on, 1831 to 7,000 today, it's been one hell of a ride. And even when earnings came just 3 or 4 days ago, 2 weeks ago, the stock was at 5,400.
Yeah.
So a single one-sided rally that has happened, and I believe we'll also have a digit change in Kalyan. Dwellers, you'll see 600 very soon. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. If you study earnings, if you study fundamental markets, you get rewarded wonderfully well. Sakshi.
Right, absolutely. So that's the stellar rally right there on Trent right now. Retail space, is Trent only the one that catches your fancy, or is there anything else also that catches your attention, Raghvendra?
Sakshi, Trent we were discussing in the last week, I think, with you and Shell, 5400 around stock था ये. I was telling you that Judio जिस हिसाब से काम कर रहा है
Correct.
ग्राउंड लेवल पे, बिकॉज रिटेल में अगर आप जाते हो किसी भी स्टोर में तो हम तो ग्राउंड लेवल पे चेक करते हैं. सो द काइंड ऑफ एक्सपांशन दे आर डूइंग, द काइंड ऑफ वैरायटी दे आर कीपिंग इन देयर स्टोर, एंड द काइंड ऑफ फुटफॉल आई कैन सी in their store. I think the stock have much higher potential to touch 10,000, 12,000 level very soon. तो इसके लिए 10,000 12,000 का लेवल बहुत जल्दी मिलेगा, वो बहुत कम है वैल्यूएशन. तो मुझे लगता है ट्रेंट इज द वन स्टॉक. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट अरविंद मिल आई एम वेरी मच पॉजिटिव बिकॉज द काइंड ऑफ एक्सपांशन दे आर सीइंग कि अभी जो है मुझे लगता है कि शायद ये अभी अरविंद मिल भी एक ऐसा स्टॉक है जो पूरे इंडिया में बहुत तेजी से फ्रेंचाइजी के बिजनेस में काम कर रहा है, और मुझे लग रहा है कि बहुत जल्दी ये स्टॉक आपको यहाँ से 550, 600, 700 का भाव दिखाई देगा.
Okay, got it. So we'll keep an eye out on both these stocks right there. इंडिगो पर आपका क्या कहना है राघवेंद्र जी? जिस तरीके से आज नए टारगेट्स आए हैं जेफरीज के 50-225 के, और अब 21% अपसाइड उन्होंने आज मॉर्निंग में एक्सपेक्ट किया था. आज ही 4.5% तो चढ़ गया फिर से 4488 पे. एक बार फिर से एक ज़बरदस्त रैली की शुरुआत हो गई है एक और एविएशन स्टॉक में भी. आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे यहाँ?
साक्षी देखिए, अभी ये स्टॉक ने एक ब्रेकआउट दिया है, बट ये इसका सप्लाई जोन है 4500 चार्ट पे जिस हिसाब से दिख रहा हूँ. जब तक ये 45-4600 का लेवल डिसाइसिवली क्रॉस नहीं करता विद द वॉल्यूम, सो आई एम नॉट एक्सपेक्टिंग एनी काइंड ऑफ अपसाइड अराउंड 5000. बस यस, स्टॉक जो है रिवर्सल मोड पे है. 4200-4300 से स्टॉक रिवर्सल लिया. मुझे लग रहा है कि 4500 का लेवल जो ये थोड़ा सा एक स्ट्रॉन्ग हर्डल है, एक बार वो लेवल ब्रेक करता है फिर मुझे लगता है कि 5000 क्या और भी अब जो है ऊपर का लेवल आएगा, क्योंकि वो राउंडिंग बॉटम का पैटर्न है और कप एंड हैंडल का भी. तो मुझे लगता है एक बार वो पैटर्न ब्रेक हो जाए फिर 5200 के ऊपर भी जाएगा स्टॉक.
Okay, got it. So that's the view coming in on Indigo as well. One more space that we have consistently been following for a long time, it's now lied low for a bit. It's the cement space. How are you looking at the cement space afresh now, Raghvendra? What looks good to you within this space? I remember there was one time right before the budget, this space was constantly moving higher in trade. What now?
Sakshi, all cement stocks are trading below their 10 DMA and 21 DMA exponential moving average. I think now अब ये टाइम है यहाँ से रिवर्सल का. जितने भी सीमेंट स्टॉक है, वैसे अल्ट्राटेक, श्री सीमेंट, इंडिया सीमेंट, अब मुझे लग रहा है यहाँ से एक रिवर्सल आना चाहिए. अल्ट्राटेक का चार्ट बहुत अच्छा है, राउंडिंग बॉटम बन रहा है अभी, और मुझे लगता है कि बहुत जल्दी मुझे 12,000 के ऊपर दिखाई देगा. सो अल्ट्राटेक में आई एम very much confident, and I believe Ultratech one should buy this stock with a stop loss of 11,000 level for the target of 12,000, 12,200.
$318, ladies and gentlemen. Maruti is on the move, and this is something that needs to be kept in mind for two reasons. One, auto has started to move as a sector, and in terms of non-performing stocks in the month of August, F&O expiry so far, Maruti is still down 1.4%. So please keep an eye out on this one from the auto space. And of course, one of the direct stocks which get impacted adversely by that news report that 70,000 crores worth of four-wheeler inventory is stuck with dealers is Maruti, India's largest car maker as also the one that is in that zone where sales are slowing, which is the entry level of cars. So about 12,300 for you, and about half a percentage point higher is what Maruti is clicking. What are the other stocks that we can talk about in terms of strong gains? Sakshi, Balrampur Chini again, this is the top performing stock in FNO for the month of August, 28.5% higher. Let's also look at a couple of pharma stocks. Granules India in the FNO space, based on very strong short covering, is up 24% so far in the FNO expiry. Glenmark 17%, Lupin 17%, Aurobindo Pharma 12%. Within the mid-cap space, Raghvendra ji, what would be your attentive stock in the pharma space? What looks good? We have seen very smart rallies in large cap pharma, but what is your favorite within the mid-cap space?
शल देखिए, जिस हिसाब से अभी ग्रैनुअल्स इंडिया ने ब्रेकआउट दिया, मंथली चार्ट देखिए आप प्लीज चेक सोल्जर्स, मुझे लग रहा है कि ग्रैनुअल्स जो है अभी यहाँ से बहुत अच्छी रैली दे सकता है. तो आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग ग्रैनुअल टू हिट 750 780 लेवल इन द मंथ ऑफ सितंबर. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट डॉक्टर रेड्डीज एंड दिविस लैब, दोनों स्टॉक ने अच्छा खासा ब्रेकआउट दिया है. इसके अलावा आई हैव बीन डिस्कसिंग 2-3 stocks in the life science. So Supriya Life Science, we have been discussed this stock around 470 500 level. Now again stock is hovering around that level. मुझे लग रहा है एक अच्छा खासा Supriya Life Science जो है फंडामेंटली बहुत अच्छी कंपनी है. मुझे लगता है यहाँ से ये कंपनी अब यहाँ से धीरे धीरे ऊपर जानी चाहिए. सो ये 3-4 स्टॉक्स हैं, मुझे लगता है ये ज्यादा अच्छा लग रहा है. ओवरऑल देखिए जो ओवरऑल फार्मा सेक्टर है वो भी ऑलरेडी बहुत अच्छा खासा रैली दिया है उसने. मुझे लगता है पिछले 15 दिनों में एक अपसाइड 10 to 15% का ऑलरेडी आ चुका है. सेलेक्टिव स्टॉक्स हैं, लेकिन ये अभी भी मुझे लग रहा है यहाँ से ऊपर जाने चाहिए.
Okay, got it. Well, 3:21, the right time to ask Raghvendra on BTST, STBT trades, if any.
Sakshi, BTST trade, I'm very much bullish in Bajaj Finance. 6600 का बेस बना है, 6750 है. मुझे लगता है कि BTST ट्रेड ये बहुत अच्छा स्टॉक बन सकता है. तो बजाज फाइनेंस आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग टारगेट 6850 6900 लेवल टुमारो. दैट कैन बी अ गुड स्टॉक फॉर BTST.
Okay, for BTST, Bajaj Finance is the counter that you should definitely keep an eye out on as well. FNO में आज एक और स्टॉक ने काफ़ी लंबे अरसे के बाद एक शो अप किया है और वो है इंडियन होटल्स कंपनी ने. 3.5-4% तक के आसपास की तेज़ी आज FNO स्पेस में है. कैसा लग रहा है अभी आपको ये स्टॉक? पूरा टूरिज्म, होटल स्पेस, हॉस्पिटैलिटी स्पेस एक समय पर काफ़ी चर्चित था. अब बहुत समय से यहाँ पर कुछ एक्शन ज़्यादा नहीं नज़र आया है. इंडियन होटल्स में अभी आपका क्या व्यू है?
साक्षी, बहुत अच्छा चार्ट है, बहुत अच्छा ब्रेकआउट है. मुझे लग रहा है कि ये फॉलिंग वेज पैटर्न का ब्रेकआउट दिया इसने डेली चार्ट पे. मंथली चार्ट पे आप देखो सप्लाई जोन के आसपास है 650 60 का लेवल. मुझे लगता है एक बार वो लेवल क्रॉस कर देगा फिर ये नए जोन में आएगा. तो आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग स्टॉक टू टच 700 प्लस लेवल. आई थिंक इंडियन होटल बहुत अच्छा ब्रेकआउट एफएनओ में दिया है, वॉल्यूम भी अच्छा है. तो देखते हैं, मुझे लगता है कि 700 प्लस लेवल दिखना चाहिए.
ठीक है.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, 3:23. The weekly expiry of the Nifty draws to a close on a very nice note. The index has rallied for 5 consecutive days. 24,800 is with the bulls, and that's a strong sign of positivity, mainly because now we are less than a percentage point away from an all-time high, which was 25,074, 25,100 or so seen in the early part of August. Will this be a double top and the market will fail from those levels? Only time will tell. But this rally has come through one of the most trying times that we have seen in many months. You had the crisis with SEBI and Hindenburg. You have the winding of the yen carry trade, mediocre earnings, all sorts of political issues in the last 20 odd trading sessions, and yet the Nifty has been resilient mainly on account of very strong buying support coming in on the domestic institutional side. This is also time when lots of foreign institutionals have been net sellers consistently, not only in the month of August but also from 23rd of July when the budget was announced. So in this background, we've had the Nifty trying to scale back up. Defense has sort of come under very heavy selling pressure, and at the same time FMCG, Pharma and IT stocks have done phenomenally well to boost the Nifty up. Now let's just see what has happened in terms of individual stock prices on this very modest day in terms of volumes. Let me just highlight a couple of points that are there. The Nifty, of course, 44 points higher. In amongst the most active counters within the Nifty are the usual suspects, HDFC, Reliance and ICICI Bank. Very modest number, 1600 crores worth of transactions on HDFC Bank stock in the green, 1/3% higher, and Reliance 1500 crores worth of transactions ending flat. Let's shift focus immediately to NSE 500. Top traded counter Kalyan Jewellers, digit has changed, 601. Intraday and all-time high have been 605. Zomato, an acquisitive company, down a percentage points, nothing to be worried about. 1900 crores worth of transactions done. Profit booking returns on Mazgaon Dock, fifth most active counter. Paytm has slipped a bit, 3% lower, and of course you have Indigo, Sham Metallics, CDSL 1% higher, 2900 for you, and you have the fertilizer space represented by Fact, 6% higher, 1009 on the top traded list of NSE. Sakshi, yours.
Right, 326 right now. We are just about 4 minutes away from the day's close, 24,816 right now on the Nifty. Let's see what else we can pick up to discuss with Raghvendra right there. We have discussed quite a lot of spaces. Raghvendra, is there anything that you'd like to highlight where one should be really staying away from right now, which is absolutely looking weak in the markets right now?
Defense stocks. Defense are looking really weak because we have seen so many reports and investor and traders are a little bit panicked. So I think we should away at least for 15-20 days. उसके बाद देखते हैं. मुझे लगता है थोड़े दिन शांत रहेंगे. ये stocks भी बहुत ज़्यादा fluctuation में है. So I think we should wait for some time. There is a correction going on in the defense stock. मुझे लगता है इससे थोड़ा दूर रहना चाहिए.
Stay away from defense space. That's what Raghvendra believes. Okay, Raghvendra, thank you so much for being with us on this special edition and sharing all those thoughts and ideas and strategies and stocks also.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time as always on Business Today Television. Time to start wrapping up the markets right now. About 49 points higher in trade for the Nifty, 24,819. It's the Nifty Bank that supported the sentiments in the markets today. About 0.6% higher is where the Nifty Bank is really trading at 50,979 odd levels amidst a choppy, very range-bound kind of a trade, but holding up strong. Consumer durables almost 1% higher in trade as close the markets with almost the top moving sectoral index. Metals follow suit with a 0.7% uptick as well. PSU banks, FMCG, these were the other spaces that outperformed. Along with it, the broader markets, especially the mid caps that came back stronger, about 0.7% higher in trade. What did not do well? Some of the defensive spaces. So Pharma and IT dragged a bit, about 0.1% lower in trade. You also had the oil and gas seeing some profits being shaved off. The India VIX, despite that, down by about 2.7% at 12.9 odd levels. Let's look at the top movers that we are looking at on the Nifty today. You have stocks like Grasim, almost 2.7% higher in trade. Tata Consumer, 2.5% higher. Bharti Airtel, Tata Steel, ICICI Bank, Apollo Hospitals, Titan. These were the top movers on the markets today. Apart from this, when we look at the drags, then you will see Wipro as the top drag, 1.3% lower in trade. NTPC, Tata Motors, Dr. Reddy's, M&M and TCS as among those that dragged in the markets today. Within the PSU pack, even though the index slipped about 0.3%, it was stocks like NHPC, Oil India, NMDC and BHARTL that continued to move up right here. Within the F&O pack, Indigo was definitely shining bright, 4.3% higher in trade. Indian Hotels also moved up, Manappuram Finance, Piramal Enterprises, Godrej Consumer Products, something that even Avinash highlighted, and Astral. These are the stocks that managed to pull up within the F&O space, while on the top tracks, you again had stocks like Cholamandalam Investment, Mahanagar Gas, Indraprastha Gas, so the gas-related counters definitely taking a beating in F&O, Granules and Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail as the other stock that dragged too. All right, viewers, we are looking at almost a 40 point of an uptick right now on the Nifty as we shut shop. That's where the screen has frozen at 24,810. Anything else that Shell you want to add?
Sakshi, I think it's a modest victory for the bulls. 24,800 is back with us. Now we are just about 0.8 percentage point away from an all-time high. Let's see when that comes. And the only worry that I now have is that will this be a double top, which essentially means that you hit 25,100 again, and from there the markets slip back into negative territory. That only time will tell, because you see this rally has been driven only by Pharma, IT and FMCG stocks within the Nifty. So let's see how it goes. But as you can see, momentum spaces are not doing well at all. Defense is in pain, railway is in pain, the PSU basket is not going anywhere, metals are down. So let us see how sort of traders pan out in the next 10 odd days or so. This uptick that you saw in the Nifty was primarily investor led, where money moved into predictable revenue streams and strong profit numbers. But a high is a high. Let's hope we enjoy 25,000 for more times to come. Sakshi.
Right, we'll wrap it up at that. Thank you so much, viewers, for being with us on this special edition. But do stay tuned as action continues on your screens on the other side right after the market hours too.
The Narendra Modi government bows to pressure. The centre has directed the UPSC to cancel advertisement inviting applications to fill up 45 posts through lateral entry after the move triggered a political controversy. The letter sent by Department of Personnel and Training states it is important that the constitutional mandate towards social justice is upheld so that deserving candidates from marginalized communities get the